Fire me then. I have free speech. This is a public entity. You want to go down that road.
I had 81 minutes last night, I was getting failed to look this morning.
Any issues with this
No,
crossing or right away?
Well, I called him Saturday night, mailman called him, I got hold of him. Thank you.
and what this other list is the list that I typed up.
White Road, North
Of all
Market.
the lettering and.
It's minimum.
Just want to see the right away, then gain proceed.
Just after he graded.
How are you today? Good.
Okay.
Water road, or
Yeah. He couldn't give me a number, but it's, I know,
Okay.
it's north of, Markenburg office, over by Doyle's Farms, you know where that's at, just west, up north of there. Minimum maintenance, he said, hey, can you just have it graded? I think he's a shortcut when the road is good.
Okay, we're gonna jump straight into, yeah, thank you, Kristen. Let's go ahead and jump right into the employee, issue. I'll let you kind of take the lead on this.
Yeah, I kind of like how
Yeah, it's pretty
employee performance.
Do you want to, I assume everybody's here.
Okay. All right. Okay, sounds good.
Everybody's here, and so I appreciate you guys being here. Again, if you want to grab a chair from next door, whatever, grab a chair up here.
What I'd like is I'd like to get this whole thing out in the open and see if we can't get it resolved and see what's going on. Okay.
I'd like for you guys to review pages 9 and 10 of the employee handbook before we start all that. Conduct. Not just the highlighter stuff.
Okay.
And everybody will sign if they've read the handbook and they'll
Sure.
abide by it.
If you would, Scott or Linda, the two individuals that we're discussing here today, are they both in the room?
Yes.
Okay, if you would you guys introduce yourself just for Christie and our attorney so that.
I'm Josh Schroeder.
Pat? John, okay, thank you guys, I appreciate that. Okay, so. Sure. That's okay. All right. Thank you, Todd.
So, would you, explain to me just how everything went down as far as you guys knowing and whatever the individuals?
Okay. I got a phone call from Josh, told me the exact time, it's supposed to be time on Tuesday. He says, I don't know what's going on. He says, John got out of the truck, come back to my grader, told me to get out, he's gonna kick my ass. So, told him to get a hold of John, get him in here, and see what's going on. So, called John in, he came to the office, said, John, what's going on? He says, I was back in my mirror, which I assume was the length of a truck, length of a drop of rock, or length of a motor grader, and saw in my mirror that he was back there shaking his head and mouthing off. Right? Mouthing off what he's saying. I mean, he isn't. Be in the cab, bitch and shake his head, I don't know. So, asked John, what's going on? He says he was shaking his head and all this. He says, so I got out and told him to get out of that cab, or out of the grader, or get your ass. Josh came in after hours, as you folks in the office with, dismiss out there, discuss that kind of stuff in front of the employees. Josh come in, we talked to him, same story. That's what I know about it.
Same story as far as the shaking of the head and the mouthing, you know, you see what, did he,
Same story that John come back to the grader and said, get out.
he said he'd go kick his ass?
Yes.
Okay. Did you address anything with the, what John had said about shaking the head and seeing him mouthing off, or asking what he was doing?
I didn't ask John if he knew what he was saying.
No,
back
did you
there.
ask Josh?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
But really, it's irrelevant, whether, you know, unless a guy can hear what you're saying. You know, I go across the hall and mumble some stuff, and you tell me if you can read my lips, you tell me what I'm saying. You know,
I understand, I'm trying to figure out what precipitated the whole thing. Okay. Have either
bottom
one,
line, somebody crossed the line.
okay, is there anything in either record, in John's record, that has precipitated this before? Has he had any write-ups, okay?
But also, there's never been anybody come in and say, hey, this individual's causing problems either.
Which individual?
None. Josh. That Josh has been causing problems, no rocker or nothing, until this happened. And then all of a sudden, Josh is the cause of everything.
Okay. I think personally that, you know, y'all know I worked down at Goodyear for 42 years.
Yeah.
And as many times as I myself told somebody I'm gonna kick your ass, or I got told I'm gonna kick your ass, you know, I mean, yes, we're living in a different age, in a different day, and blah, 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 but,
Used to be go out and meet you high end too.
yes,
You know?
and I understand that. I understand that. What I'm saying is, I think that this went a little too far. If you felt like you need to write him up and, you know, put him in step 3 or whatever, then you work
Did
on.
John have a knife on him? Did John have a gun on it? Did he have a club, a hammer? I don't know. Could he have? Absolutely. Could if Josh got out of the cab and they wrestled around and knocked his head on the grader and killed somebody?
Could have, and we'd have dealt with that.
You don't
I'd like
know.
to- I'd
You
like
don't
to
know
hear-
next time.
I'd like to hear from you.
For me?
Yep.
Okay, so I was laying
Go ahead,
rock,
go ahead and stand up.
I was laying rock on 262 between 75 Highway and Inn Road. I was patching into bad spots. That evening, key fobber came by, says you need a rock, it's solid. So I had about a 10-foot gap between the old rock that I put down and the new rock. I backed my machine up to where the spot I wanted John to dump. I got on the microphone, told him to dump. I noticed my radio's been having trouble. Maybe he didn't hear me or nothing. I did shake my head because I didn't want him to dump it there. I wanted him to dump it in front of my machine where I announced over the radio. John, I don't know what's going on, but the whole day I could notice something was bothering him. He wasn't paying attention. He wasn't looking at me when he crossed by. I always waved to the graders or give him or truck drivers give him a thumbs up. So I could tell something was bothering him. And he dumped and he just went right past my machine. He got out, started walking along the back of his truck. I thought something was wrong with the truck or something. He kept on coming back, so I backed up to figure out what was going on. I opened up the door and I said, "Yeah, John, can I do something for you?" He goes, "Yeah." Get out of this machine. He said what he said. He was going to whoop my butt and stuff. I didn't think no big deal about it, but if he's mad at me, I called key fobber, I just didn't want him hauling rock on me. I have no decision on what could be done, but
Yeah, thank you. John?
He didn't say a word to me on the radio. There was nothing on the radio.
Okay.
other truck, sorry, other truck drivers said it too.
Okay, it's John's turn, so we'll allow John to speak.
And we were told to rock it solid. There was a skip here. I know we're supposed to rock it solid. I feel a skip in. And he shaking his head at me and had his mouth going. I thought, well, if he's got something to say to me, I'll go back and see what he did.
Had it been a long day?
Now, is that what you told us the other day when you come in, Friday?
But now,
Is that what you told us Friday or Tuesday when you came in? It's nothing, you said nothing like that. You said you got out of your truck, went back, told him you were going to his ass.
yeah, he did give me, well, he,
And let's
You didn't say nothing else about that.
let's use a different descriptive word for that since we have a child in the room, if you don't mind. Just,
I apologize.
that's okay. We can figure out that, we know. Go ahead. Is that what you told Scott when you came
that's
in?
what I told her for that. He asked, and when we came into the office,
Yeah.
Linda asked me what I said to him. I told him. She looked at Scott, and Scott said, I created a hostile environment, I was fired. I had no time to tell my side of the story, and I got up and left.
Okay. Mark, I'll let you.
I mean, you told the story though.
Pardon?
The story was told. I asked him what happened. He just, I got on my truck, so I couldn't get you.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, I think that this went overboard, way quickly. You know, bring the two individuals in, sit them in the office and hash it out there with supervisors there, with supervision there. I think that the firing was way too radical for what happened. I really do.
Everybody,
I
you like
mean-
to have an opinion. Mine too.
Yeah.
You guys sat there and said you trust what I do?
We
Trust
do.
it? No.
Okay.
It's my opinion.
I know. There's a lot of emotion involved in this. I think sometimes,
How's another department didn't know about that?
I wouldn't want somebody coming in and telling me that, undermining me.
Oh, I'm not trying to undermine you. I'm trying to get through what's going on because I
It
think
sounds like
that,
your old minds are made up already.
I don't believe that's true.
no, I don't think that's true. What I'm saying is, I think that this went from here to here real quick like. I think that this, I think that they both should have been brought in the room with you
Why
guys.
didn't they come in ahead of time?
Hang on, Scott. Let me finish, okay? I think they both should have been brought in the room. And I'm not talking about just these two, any of these guys out here, or ladies out here. I would have brought them in and talked to them and say if I could get to the root of the problem before I automatically said you're fired. And if
I
this,
brought it up there, I'm sorry.
if this was the case and you're gonna fire John, then Josh should be fired too for creating a hostile work environment.
How did he create all this stuff working by it?
For what he was doing back there in the cab. I mean,
How
if
do you know
we're,
what he was doing? Was he singing? Was he praying? I don't know.
he just said that I'm standing back there shaking my head and going like this. Well, I'd probably take it the same way. What the heck's going on?
Yeah. And go ahead.
You guys sit right here and say your grader operator is supposed to tell where the rock goes.
It's,
And he's doing that. And then all of a sudden it's a problem.
it's not, that's not the issue. The issue is that when you have two people come together, and you work together every day, people are gonna get pissed about things that happen. I don't think his action was right. I mean, was your intention really to kick his behind? I mean, honestly, and were you kinda irritated, and were you in the grader just going, I can't believe this, you know, kind of crap? And could you have gotten out of the grader prior to him dumping and said, hey, John,
At first I thought.
we're struggling with this all day long. Is there something going on? I mean, part of this, to me, is looking out for your coworker. If I got a coworker that's that's doing things out of the normal, I'm probably gonna crawl out of the truck and say, look, and have a conversation. And if you can't have that conversation, then you're gonna call Linda. Linda's gonna be your first line, say, hey, look, Linda,
We got a problem.
we got a problem here, we need a mediator, we gotta work through this. Hang on.
Go ahead, go ahead.
I would hope we can all be adults in these situations and figure out a way to communicate with each other. I worked for Turnpike for over 20 years. If everybody who said, I'm gonna kick your hind parts today, got fired out there, there wouldn't have been anybody left. Because there are days when it's hot, you're irritated, things maybe aren't going the way you want it to, or life. Sometimes we all just deal with life. Maybe it's personal issues, whatever it is. But I'm not sure terminating somebody immediately without having a little more conversation with the two individuals and Linda wouldn't have been warranted. And I'm not undermining your authority. Scott, we have never doubted when you've terminated somebody. Have we ever doubted it before?
No.
We
No, I
haven't.
understand
In
that.
3.5 years that you've been the public works director, we've always supported your decisions, whether it's hiring or firing. And in this particular instance, I believe we have two individuals who maybe their personalities conflict a little bit, or it was just a bad day. And I think we can learn from this by bringing those individuals in and having a conversation. Now, if we get to the point where those two are having a conversation and it's not gonna work out, okay, now let's have a conversation about getting rid of somebody. But I assume that everybody's here, and I don't know about you guys, but I don't have a problem with hearing from you guys as long as it's not personal towards one or the other. I mean, if you have something you wanna say, you're here. I'm okay with hearing from you. I just don't want it, I don't want this to be attacked on one individual in the room. But if you have something that you would like to say about this, feel free to. Is there anybody that wants to speak?
I'm here to support John as a driver at one time,
Okay,
you know.
thank you, I appreciate
It was
that.
That's, we're here to support John.
Okay,
We don't think he should lose his job
I appreciate that.
over this.
In defense, that's a narrow road.
Yeah.
We don't have time to be waving on a narrow road and miss a blade and lay a rock out. That's a narrow road.
Okay.
You got 80,000 pound killing machine coming out of blade. You better be paying attention.
Okay. Anybody else?
I worked construction for several years, and people are gonna butt heads, and they're gonna say things that probably don't really mean. Temperature's gonna flare. In my opinion, as long as they didn't touch each other, they went their separate ways, like, I didn't see a problem.
What do we tell our operators when somebody comes up, cuts them off, and gets out and starts yelling? We tell you to call 911, don't we? Don't we? We do.
I'm just saying, me and Jay's butted heads, Jay and everybody else butted heads, we say things back and forth, but we're still employed.
John,
We're-
is what we're talking about.
We're not fired,
We're
so,
not gonna go back and forth here on this. A little different situation, I believe, if it's an individual in the public that we don't know and we're not working with.
I believe in John, I believe in John.
I don't.
I don't.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, I'm sure this is the first time in the history of Jackson County Road and Bridge that this has ever been said from one individual to the other. Mark? Dan?
Like I say, Dan, you had something to say, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm the one that always sits back and listens to everybody on these before making impulsive or snap decisions. I believe a compromise should be in place with this. Bring them both in, talk to them, probably shouldn't be working together in the future.
Well, you can't do that.
You
They
got-
do have to work together.
Every day. He's his driver, Give him enough.
They
give him
are,
enough
they are
write-up.
co-workers, and they will
Okay,
work
so-
together, or they won't
All right.
work here. That's at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to.
Bring him
That's what we
in.
had.
I thought that you had specifically a truck driver you work with, so you rotate. Okay, I got it. Compromise, write them up, whichever one you think needs to be written up, and let's go, be it on. If it happens again, have issues again, Linda is the immediate supervisor that needs to be called on this, folks. No one's happy all the time with a compromise, because we all have to give. I think in this situation, we need to. You know, and I know it's not exactly your belief.
Right?
I appreciate everything you do.
I do not believe it at all.
I understand.
You just open the worm, can of worms. You allow people to come up and tell each other, I'm not gonna do this, kiss my ass and I'll whoop your ass. That's what you've allowed.
Well, I hope not.
I
Read your
don't,
handbook.
Scott, I don't believe that, I really don't. Like I say, I worked in the kitchen for 42 years, and the number of times
You know,
I said
I worked
that,
for 30 years too.
that I had supervisor tell me that, tell that to me, okay? I'm just saying, it didn't open up a can of worms. Everybody has a bad day. I don't think termination is the immediate, go all, save all.
If you guys are,
If you-
overruling it for it, just, you know, I don't agree with it.
I would-
do not agree with it.
Becky, go ahead.
So I feel like that if both these guys are getting written up, or one of them are getting written up, that's gonna make everybody think, oh, I better not say that to that guy, or else I'm
No,
gonna
it's
get
not.
written up.
No, it's not. It's gonna be,
Yeah.
oh, we're not
And
getting
it's
in
still
trouble.
punishment.
Nothing's gonna happen. That's what it is. You know, I get to do something stupid, I take care of it.
I would disagree. And I want you guys to
Well, John, they would do
understand,
it.
I want you guys to understand that this is a behavior that we can tolerate. I understand the work environment and how this can happen, but it can't be tolerated. And I don't want people to think, I really wish that in the future, if you have an issue, instead of calling a commissioner, you would sit down with Linda and Scott and have the conversation. Yes.
I did try calling Linda first.
Okay.
She wouldn't answer. I tried calling Tara. She wouldn't answer.
Okay.
That's my next chain of command.
Okay.
So I tried going through the chains of command.
And you just sit there and said, will not be tolerated. You just tolerated. You just let that happen.
Okay.
You said.
We'll
you said
agree
it
to
won't.
disagree,
That's
we'll
fine.
agree to
That's
disagree
fine.
when it comes to, what I'm saying will not be tolerated in the sense that there's got to be,
I know.
Some conversation.
I've managed people for 40 years.
Okay.
I know. I've seen all this crap before.
okay,
In that past, when I've had people that blatantly come out and threaten somebody that is not a safe environment. How's Josh feeling now?
I don't know.
You know, he's had a lot of folks out there picking on him. and
I mean,
giving him crap.
Josh, what do you weigh?
That's the point.
Huh?
350.
You're $175?
You been in the military? Were you in the military? Were you ever in the military?
I mean,
Okay.
you
Well,
kinda gotta
I don't know whether you
put things in
combat,
perspective.
you know, hand-to-hand combat,
Okay,
anything.
so let's
karate.
Wax on, wax off.
move forward to what we can and can't do. So does it say in there, if someone threatens someone, we have to fire them?
Does not.
Okay. So, I think at this point, Mark, do you have any other thoughts?
I think that what needs to be done here is both of them need to be written up and put in their file. And, you know, if we don't have anything in the handbook about how to handle these situations other than termination, then we need to come up with it. Put it in there that you get 3 write-ups and, you know, after the 3 write-ups, then you're gone. I mean, like I said, tempers flare, and I don't believe that this is creating a hostile work environment on that.
The only part I struggle with is writing Josh up because I have no idea, I have no proof of what he said.
Right. Josh did what he was told to do.
I have no
He
proof
called on the
whatsoever.
phone.
And John, that's probably not what you want to hear, but doesn't matter. I don't have proof of what he said because I wasn't there, Scott wasn't there. You can't tell me that you know exactly what he said looking in the mirror, right? Would you agree with me?
I agree with that.
Okay.
I myself, as a blade operator,
Yes.
I know exactly what Josh did because I've done it myself. A truck driver's no longer here, but when they've skipped spots, it has frustrated me. And I raise my hands and I'm shaking my head, so I know what Josh says.
You know what
Because
his
I've been
actions
there with
were.
Josh did.
But-
Luckily, it didn't come down to whatever everything else, but I've done it. So
But
I know what Josh
so
said.
what we're dealing with here
And
is
I don't know,
what-
most of these guys are blade operators.
I understand
Have
that.
been frustrated.
And what I'm saying is, what we're dealing with today is, I can't prove what he said. I got a pretty good idea of what he.
Oh, yeah, because I've done it myself, and you could probably ask some of these other
But-
blade operators that agree
but
with
it's
me.
what I can
It
prove.
frustrates us, but
But what I will say to you is, if you're frustrated with the way the driver is handling things, get out of your grader and have the conversation with him and visit with him.
Well, you see what happened? No. It's okay to correct
No,
yourself.
no, we're just about
No,
done.
it's not. No, it's not. And I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate the fact.
If you're having problems with your radio,
I
said
told
you're
him
having-
several times.
then take it in the shop and get it fixed. Okay?
And I tried asking John while he was there, John, what's wrong? John, what's wrong? He just continuously to say that stuff.
Where's
I don't feel
his
like I should be getting written up.
Say it again.
Where's his protection?
Yeah, I don't know if he should be written up.
We'll move ahead. At this point, we don't have to terminate anybody. And we'll visit a little bit more, but I don't see a fact that we can write him up.
Probably not. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a personnel manager.
And I'm dealing with what we can legally do. So understand, I got a pretty good idea of what he said. I just can't prove that. John has admitted to what he said, and John, I think, writing you up a personal record.
And I think that shows the character of John,
He's gonna lie.
that
I
he's
would
not
agree
gonna
with
lie
you.
to you commissioners
I
about
would
what he
agree
said.
with
He's a stand-up man, and I think you
I
can feel
appreciate
the
that.
same vibe that we, as operators and drivers out there feel. We feel the same way. We're getting the same vibe from the push that you're getting off of not still firing John. We kind of get that impression out there in the field as well, that if we don't go along and agree with everything at the same time, then we're gonna be punished somehow, some way along the way.
That's not true.
But I'm just saying, that's how we feel. We can't take away how we feel. If we try to do something and we're getting resistance from it, how do we know that we're not gonna get punished later on because we're not gonna stay, right there in
I
agreement
guess
with
I'm
everyone?
not following what you're saying. Get punished later. In what way? Give me-
Well, like, what I feel is Scott is adamant about getting rid of John. No matter what, he keeps throwing that up that you guys,
I can answer
So
that
I
question.
kind of feel that we kind of feel the same way that's, or I do. I feel that if I'm not 100%
Let
on
me
board or
answer that
accept the
question.
situation,
I know Scott well enough, and I know his character well enough. If we decide, whatever decision we decide, Scott will obey to that decision. And I have never, ever heard him speak in the way that you're talking about, that he would look for retribution on any employee. I've never heard that out of him in the 3.5 years I've known him. So I will defend him when it comes to that until.
well, and I respect and understand. I'm just telling you how
Yeah, I would.
some of us might feel, just from listening on the push-pull
I think
all over the
at the end of the
situation.
day, whatever we decide, I think we all just move ahead with life and what our job is, and we get back to work, and that's what we do. We keep our head down, the other part up, and we stay busy, right?
Yes,
And we do what's right for the taxpayer
yes.
at the end of the day. So Todd, go ahead.
I'm stepping a little bit out of the legal zone. here.
That's fine.
To tell you something, what I see here, and I think actually Josh should be commended by this.
Okay.
Because he did, at any point in time, he could escalate the situation. And
Correct.
somewhat been justified in doing so. That he did not, and he called through his chain, and he did what's appropriate. That is commendable behavior rather than being bad.
Okay.
And that hopefully will somewhat resolve some of the tensions. Because that's the behavior you want to model.
Right.
Well, that's what,
about to say a minute ago is Josh, 6 months ago, he would have jumped out of the grader and then been on. Josh has grown and he came in just as cleaning with taller pipes. He's trying to get his CDL. He's moved up, ran over there now for over 6 months. Like I said, he does communicate with us. And then all of a sudden here, I'm hearing, well, he's the troublemaker. You know, he's the one. To me, that's not right. You know,
And
of course.
sure,
So,
2 minutes, yes.
So,
you know,
how do you want to move forward?
Come out.
I personally, I do not want to see John terminated. I don't think that going from here to here is right. There's got to be steps in the middle. If we don't get them into it, we need to get them in. We need to look at that and get them in.
Yeah, if we're gonna use the handbook to terminate, let's make sure that it does say one offense, termination, that type of thing. But I think, case by case, again, I go back to a little bit of, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but common sense and in understanding the environment that things were and having a little bit more of a conversation. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of a conversation in this situation before immediately terminating. So I'm in favor of not terminating John. Yeah, I'm in favor of everybody going back to work and doing the job right and doing it well, what you know to do. And I'm in favor of learning from this and not holding any animosity either direction to any employee, and encouraging Josh in what he's doing, and you obviously support John. And as an elder, worker in that department, visit with him. See what you can do to make his life better as a truck driver and work together. And go that route. That's what I would do. But again, I don't want you to think, well, okay, in this particular instance, running to a commissioner is the route we go. That's not the case. I don't mind a phone call, and I don't mind hearing from people, but it doesn't mean just because I hear from somebody that we're going to change our mind on a particular issue. But each of you are taxpayers if you live here in the county, and you're entitled to reach out to the commissioner, and I do always appreciate that. So, anything else, gentlemen?
I don't believe so.
Okay. I think you're good to go back to work.
Thank you, guys.
And let's just move ahead from this. Okay?